Hey everyone, so today we are going to talk about orthogonal vectors. After that, we are going to see what are orthonormal vectors and we will see this along examples. And at the end, we will see what is the connection between orthogonal or orthonormal set of vectors and linearly independent vectors. Okay, so what are orthogonal vectors? This is the first question. Well, before telling you the definition of orthogonal vectors, let us first go to a very basic case which you have already seen earlier. That means your Euclidean space. That means, for example, let me take a two-dimensional space R2. Okay, so R2 is a vector space over R. Now, if I take any two vectors A bar and B bar, when do I say that these two vectors are perpendicular? Well, the answer is, if you have two vectors, here is your A bar and here is your B bar, you say if the angle is 90 degree, we say that the vectors are perpendicular. Or in another words, you say that two vectors are perpendicular if their dot product is 0. So that's what we have studied in Euclidean spaces. Now let's come to arbitrary space. So let my V is a vector space with vector addition and scalar operation, and I am defining an inner product on this vector space. So this forms an inner product space. So what is an inner product space? It's a vector space with an inner product. Now here if I take two vectors V1 and V2, these are the two vectors in my vector space V. If you find their inner product, if you don't know what is an inner product, I will post the link in the description, you can have a look. Okay, so when the inner product of these two vectors is 0, we say that these two vectors are orthogonal. Okay, so inner product is nothing but it's a generalization of dot product. So when you are in Euclidean space, we talk about dot product. When we are not in Euclidean space, when we are in arbitrary vector space, the notion of dot product get replaced by the notion of inner product. That's one thing. And here when it is 0, we say that the vectors are perpendicular. Here when the inner product is 0, we say the vectors are orthogonal. So you can say that orthogonality is nothing but the generalization of perpendicularity. Okay, like inner product is nothing but the generalization of dot product. Arbitrary vector space is kind of a generalization of an Euclidean space. Okay, good. So we know now the concept of orthogonality. Okay, now one thing one should realize is when someone asks you, like they will give you some vector space and they will give you two vectors, and if they ask you, are these two vectors orthogonal, the first question you should ask is, what is the inner product you are defining on that vector space? Because on one vector space one can define infinitely many vector products. Because on one vector space one can define infinitely many inner products. Okay, I have taken some examples on polynomial space where one can define infinitely many inner products. Again, the link is there in the description. So yeah, one can define infinite or plenty of inner products on a vector space. So if someone asks you whether the vectors are orthogonal, the first question you should ask is, what is the inner product you are defining on that vector space? Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing one has to realize, I will take an example, that if you have two vectors, if they are orthogonal with respect to one inner product, they need not be orthogonal with respect to another inner product on the same vector space. Okay, so therefore one should know what an inner product is before determining the orthogonality. Okay, now let us see some examples so that the concept will be clear. So let me take the polynomial space. Okay, let me take P2 of R. What is P2 of R? Set of all polynomials with degree at most 2. Okay, all polynomials of degree less equal to, we know that this forms a vector space over real numbers. Okay, now if I define inner product, if I take any two polynomials P of x and Q of x, you define their inner product as integration minus 1 to 1 P of x into Q of x dx. Please verify that this function satisfies all the 5 properties of inner product. If you get stuck while proving, you can ask me in the comment section, I will help you out. So this forms an inner product on this polynomial, on this space, vector space. So therefore this is an inner product space. Okay, now if I ask you, let P of x equal to x and q of x equal to x square minus 1. Are these two vectors orthogonal? So what you will do, you will find their inner product. If the inner product comes out to be 0, yes, they are orthogonal. If it comes out to be non-zero, then it is not, then they are not orthogonal. And now actually one can say that the answer is 0. There are one way you just multiply inside, integrate, your answer will be 0. Or another smart way is, this is an odd function, this is an even function, so product is an odd function. So integration from minus a to a of odd function is always 0. Okay, so that's why the answer is 0. Therefore, with respect to this inner product, these two polynomials are orthogonal. Okay. Now it may happen that someone will define different inner product. Suppose if I define an inner product on the same polynomial space as p of 0 into q of 0 plus p of 1 into q of 1 plus p of 2 into q of 2. I have proved that this forms an inner product. Link is there in the description. So this is an inner product. Now with respect to this inner product, are these two polynomials orthogonal? Let's try to check it out. What is inner product of x comma x square minus 1 p of 0 into q of 0 plus p of 1 into q of 1 plus p of 2 into q of 2. 2 into 4 minus 1, 3. Then here you have 0, 0. So therefore you can check that the answer is 6, which is non-zero. So with respect to this inner product, these two polynomials are not orthogonal. And that's what I meant earlier when I said that if you change the inner product, orthogonality between the vector changes. Okay, so this is one example. Let's see one more example. Instead of polynomial space, now let's take metric space. Now let V is equal to set of all 2 by 3 matrices with real entries. Okay, we know that this forms a vector space, and let me define inner product between any two matrices as trace of, you take B A transpose. You take the transpose of A and you multiply it by B. So, and you take the trace. Trace is nothing but the sum of the diagonal entries. Then this forms an inner product on set of matrices. Therefore, this is an inner product space with respect to this inner product. Now, if I give you two matrices, say if I give you A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, B is equal to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if I ask you, are these two vectors orthogonal? What you will do is, you will find their inner product, which is nothing but trace of B A transpose. And this is not equal to 0. Why? You find A transpose, do this multiplication, you will get a non-zero answer. Why non-zero? You can directly see all the entries are positive. All the entries are positive. You take the transpose, entries are still positive. You take the product, all the entries are still positive. So when you add the diagonal entries, the answer is non-zero, is positive. Okay, so therefore these two vectors are not orthogonal for this inner product. So that's how one can check whether two vectors are orthogonal or not by simply computing their inner product. Okay, so that is one thing. Now, what is an orthogonal set? So let me take S, which is say V1, V2 up to Vn. This is a subset of a V. What is my V? It's an inner product space. That means it's a vector space and we are defining some inner product on this vector space. Okay. Now when I will call this S to be an orthogonal set, if inner product of Vi with Vj is 0 for all Ij and your I is not equal to j. So if the inner product of V1, V2, V1, V3, V1, V4, V1, Vn, then inner product of V2, V3, V2, V4, V2, Vn. So if you take any two distinct vectors, I not equal to j, if you take any two different vectors, if the inner product is 0 for all ij and distinct, then we say that this set is an orthogonal set. Okay. Now, why I am writing I not equal to j? What if I write only this much? Then the problem is, when my I is equal to j, I have Vi equal to 0. But by the property, positive definite property of inner product, if the inner product of vi comma vi is 0, this implies the vector has to be 0. So if I don't write I not equal to j, then this is 0 when I is equal to j, and what I get, the vector is 0. Therefore all the vectors will be 0, and in that case my S will be singleton 0 vector. It's a singleton set which is a 0 set. Okay, and it's no fun to play with the 0 set. We should have something non-zero, right? So to have non-zero, we write this should be 0 for all I not equal to j. Okay, that's the only reason we take distinct. Okay, so we call S to be the orthogonal set. Okay, now I will give you one homework question at the end. Now once you have orthogonal set, next question is what are orthonormal sets? Orthonormal set means what? It has to be orthogonal. Okay, so orthonormal set means two conditions. The first condition is that set should be orthogonal. Second condition, each vector should have length 1. Now what do you mean by length in a vector space? We know what do you mean by length in a Euclidean space, right? If you have a vector in R2, so let me take, suppose if you have a vector V in R2, two-dimensional space. So when I will call this to be a unit vector, if the length of the vector is 1. Okay, so if my V bar is V1 comma V2, so square root of V1 square plus V2 square is 1. So if the length of the vector is 1, I call that vector to be a unit vector. And if the vector is not unit vector, how do you make it a unit vector? You divide by the length of that vector. Okay, if I call this as say U bar, then this U bar is a unit vector. Why? Because what is mod of U bar? It is mod of V bar upon mod of V bar. But what is this? This is nothing but this is a number. So it is 1 upon mod of V, and this is mod of V. This is 1. So if a vector is not a unit vector, you divide by length to make it a unit vector. Similarly, when you are in an inner product space, arbitrary vector space, if you have a vector which is not a unit vector, what you do is you find the length of the vector. Now what is the generalization of length? It is nothing but two vertical lines. This is called as norm of a vector. Generalization of length is norm. So this is norm of a vector, and you define the norm as square root of inner product of V comma V. What is length of V? If you recall, it is square root of V bar dot V bar. So that's how it is defined here as well. It is square root of, what is generalization of dot product? The inner product. So the norm of a vector is nothing but square root of inner product. By property of inner product, we know that inner product of V comma V is always greater or equal 0. So square root is non-negative. So the length is non-negative. So generalization of length is norm in an inner product space. Okay, so if you have a vector V which is not a unit vector, you divide by its norm. Then this vector, if I call this as U bar, this is a unit vector. Why? Because what is norm of U? It is norm of this complete thing. But again this norm will come outside. Norm V will get cancelled. You get answer to be 1. The same thing, that this will come outside, this gets cancelled, you get 1. So same thing here as well, this will come outside, norm V upon norm V is 1. So if you have a vector which is not a unit vector, you divide by the norm. You find the norm, that is square root of inner product of V comma V. You can find this, right? Because it's an inner product space. So you can always find inner product of V comma V, take the square root, you get norm. So you divide by the norm, and this is a unit vector. So what is an orthonormal set? It's an orthogonal set. That means inner product of Vi Vj is 0 for all I not equal to j. And if each vector, all V1, V2, V3, each vector should be of length 1. So if all the vectors are unit vectors and they are orthogonals, then we call such a set to be a orthonormal set. So let's see some examples. So if I take V to be, let us take R2. Okay, and let me take inner product. So it's in inner product space. Let me take inner product of any V1, V2 to be the dot product. V1 dot product V2. if I take S to be the vectors 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1, are they orthogonal? Yes, because the dot product of this two vector is 0, dot product of this two vector is 0, dot product of this two vector is 0. What is the length of the vector? 1. What is the length of the vector? 1. What is the length of the vector? 1. Because square root of 1 square plus 0 square plus 0 square is 1. Similarly, so all of them are length 1. Therefore, S is an orthonormal set. Okay. If I take T to be 1 0 0, then if I take here 0 1 0, or let me take 0 1 1, and let me take 0 minus 1 1. Is this orthonormal set? Let's see. Dot product is 0, dot product of first and third is 0, dot product of second and third is 0. Length of this vector is 1. But what is the length of this vector? Square root of 0 plus 1 plus 1. 0 square plus 1 square plus 1 square, which is root of 2. This also root of 2. So this is an orthogonal set, but it is not an orthonormal set. Okay. So if it is not an orthonormal set, not a problem. You can always convert an orthogonal set into an orthonormal set, because I want to just make sure the length has to be 1. So how do you make the length 1? You divide by the length. So this is already a unit vector. What is the length of this? Square root of 2. So you divide by root of 2. 0, 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2. Here also you divide by root 2. 0 minus 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2. And now you find the length of each vectors. All the vectors have length 1, so they are unit vectors. And the dot product of first and second, first and third, second and third is 0. Therefore, this is an orthonormal set. So this is orthogonal. So once you have orthogonal, you can easily obtain orthonormal set by simply dividing the length. So I hope this is clear. And now, as I told you at the start, what is the connection between orthogonal or orthonormal vectors and linearly independent vectors? There is a nice theorem that says if you have the set of orthogonal or orthonormal vectors, then that set is always linearly independent. Obviously, I am playing with non-zero vectors. None of the vectors are 0. So if you have a collection of non-zero orthogonal or orthonormal vectors, then those collection of vectors are always linearly independent. But the converse is not true. So I have proved this in a different lecture, and that link is also there in the description. So go through that proof as well. Okay, now let me give you some homework problems. So here is the first example. Set of all 2 cross 2 matrices. Inner product between two matrices I am defining as trace of AB transpose. Now we have to check whether ABC, these are orthogonal vectors or not. Okay, so my S is A, B, C. I want to see whether this set is orthogonal or not. So what you do, you find inner product of AB, inner product of BC and inner product of AC. If they come out to be 0, great, they are orthogonal. So tell me whether they are orthogonal or not. Secondly, if they are orthonormal, well and good. That means if the inner product of AA should be 1, inner product of BB should be 1, inner product of CC should be 1. If it is 1, well and good. If they are not unit vectors, you find the norm of ABC, which is square root of inner product of A, and so on, and you divide each of them by the norm, and then what you get is a orthonormal set. Similarly, in the second example, if I am on the collection of all functions, I know that it forms a vector space. So between any two functions, set of all continuous functions, I am defining inner product as minus pi to pi fx into gx dx. Okay, so set of all, I will say integrable functions. So integration exists. In that I am giving you my t set as f1 comma f2 sin x comma cos x. So check whether their inner product is 0 or not. If they are 0, they are orthogonal. If non-zero, then not orthogonal. Second thing, find the length of sin x, find the length of cos x. That means the norm of sin x and norm of cos x. If the norm is 1, great, this is an orthonormal set. If the norm is not 1, you divide f1 and f2 by their respective norm and make it an orthonormal set. So that's the exercise, and if you can do this exercise, that means the concepts are clear. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, and if no doubt, then do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.